Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2011 West Kentucky Academic Bowl. My name is Gary Goodacre, and I'm a professor of mathematics at West Kentucky Community and Technical College, and I will be serving as your moderator today. To my left is Joe Mahoney, professor of mathematics at WKCTC. He will be serving as the judge. Today's semifinal match will be between Graves County High School, to my right, and Lone Oak High School, to my left. Each of these teams was crowned district champion of the 2011 West Kentucky District Academic Bowl and has earned the right to compete for the overall West Kentucky Academic Bowl Championship. Each team is competing for scholarships that have been provided by money in the West Kentucky Academic Bowl Endowment Fund. Let's introduce the teams. We'll start on my right with Graves County.
Josh Hawkins, senior.
Rachel Clifford, senior.
Sean Hackle, senior.
Kelsey Colley, senior.
Graves County, who will be serving as your captain?
I will.
Okay, would you please introduce your coaches for us?
We have Mrs. Jennifer Hunter and Miss Linda Hiles.
Thank you. Lone Oak, would you please introduce yourselves?
Bobby Kaltenbach, Jr.
Ricky Gruel, Jr.
Matthew Dolan, Senior. Nicholas Anderson, Jr.
Lone Oak, who will be serving as your captain?
I will.
Great. And would you please introduce your coach?
Our coach is Mr. Tony Jarvis.
Thank you, sir. We will play a toss-up bonus format. Each team will have 5 seconds to buzz into a toss-up, and if successfully answering it, they will receive 10 seconds for a bonus. If the team getting the bonus does not get it correct, the other team will have a chance to answer it. We will have 40 questions per half, and at the end of 2 halves, we will have a winner. Teams, are you ready? Graves County? Lone Oak. Coaches, are your teams ready? Let's begin the first half of Semifinal 1, 2011 with Toss-Up 1. He was the child of Isis and Osiris and the brother of Set. Identify this falcon-headed god of light in Egyptian mythology.
Horus.
Correct. Bonus 2, Lone Oak. The Scandinavian poet Carl Michael Bellman is known for his many works depicting the rowdy life in the taverns of what Swedish city?
Stockholm.
Correct, Lone Oak. Toss-up 3. For many years, it was the oldest known bird, living around 100.
Archaeopteryx.
That is correct, Lone Oak, and you get another bonus. Simplify. Negative 4i multiplied by 5i.
20.
And 20 is correct. We're at toss-up 5. What was the nationality of Dag Hammarskjöld, the second Secretary General of the United Nations?
Norwegian.
That is incorrect. Lone Oak.
German.
Incorrect. You were a little closer. It was Swedish. We have a toss-up 6. What is the 2-word art term for the point on the horizon line of a painting?
Vanishing point.
And Graves, you are on the board. Here is your bonus number 7. Suppose a flagpole 8 feet tall is supported by a cable that is 17 feet long that runs at an angle from the top of the flagpole to the ground. What is the distance from the bottom of the flagpole to the point where the rope is tied to the ground?
No answer.
Captain.
15 feet.
Lone Oak gets the bonus. It is 15 feet. 8 is a toss-up. They always involve a change in oxidation number for at least 2 elements in the reactants. What type of reaction involves the transfer?
Oxidation reduction.
Yes, an oxidation reduction reaction. Bonus 9, Lone Oak. By selling indulgences in northern Germany, the monk Johann Tetzel attempted to raise funds to help Pope Leo X rebuild what church in Rome?
St. Peter's Basilica.
That is correct. Toss-up 10. This poet and novelist is one of Canada's most acclaimed contemporary writers. Who is this author of The Circle Game and The Handmaid's Tale?
Margaret Atwood.
Yes, that is the one. Here's your bonus 11. An American artist of the 20th century, she is known for her scenes of farm life done in a childlike, primitive style. Name this artist who began to paint in her late 70s when she was too old for farm work.
No answer.
Captain.
Grandma Moses.
It is Grandma Moses. After 11 questions, we have a score of Lone Oak 7, Graves County 2. Oh, Lone Oak 8, Graves County 2. Toss-up 12. A museum in Moscow chronicles the life of this Russian author born Alexei Peshkov. Identify this author of Mother, City of the Yellow Devil, and The Lower Depths.
Gogol.
Incorrect. Graves.
Lewinsky.
It is Maxim Gorky. 13, toss-up. The monthly incomes of 10,000 workers in King City are distributed normally. Suppose the mean monthly income is $1,250, and the standard deviation is $250. How many workers earn less than $750 a month?
5%.
Incorrect.
Red 2.5%.
We needed the number. It was 250. You each gave percents, but we needed a number. Toss-up 14. Usually expressed as a force times a displacement, what is the term for the energy required to move an object against?
Work.
Work is correct. Bonus 15, Lone Oak. The international date line is a line of longitude located how many degrees east of the prime meridian?
180.
180 is correct. 16 is a toss-up. Identify the Brooklyn-born actor who achieved fame through his role as Ralph Cramden, a bus driver on the weekly television series The Honeymooners. Little before your time, Jackie Gleason. Toss-up 17. The 10 Years' War was an unsuccessful guerrilla campaign against Spanish rule in what Caribbean country that laid the groundwork for the country's eventual freedom in 1898?
Cuba.
Yes, Cuba is the correct answer. Here is bonus 18. Name the figure from the Old Testament book of Judges who was prophesied to perform great feats of strength as long as he avoided wine and kept his hair uncut.
Samson.
That is correct. 19 is a toss-up. What type of conic section does the graph of 6x squared minus 24x minus 5y squared?
Hyperbola.
Yes, good anticipation. Here's your bonus 20, Graves County. Early Soviet space experiments involved launching several dogs into space, including what female husky who was launched aboard 1957's Sputnik 2?
Designate Rachel.
Leica.
Yes, Leica or Leica. Either one is correct. After 20 questions, we have Lone Oak 12, Graves 4. Here is toss-up 21. Who was the first woman to be named Chief of the Cherokee Nation, a post which she held from 1985 until 1995? Wilma Mankiller. Toss-up 22. This question requires a multiple answer. The promised land in the Old Testament of the Bible is said to be a land that is flowing with what two things?
Milk and honey.
Yes, milk and honey is correct. Graves 23 is your bonus. Find the next two terms of the geometric sequence. 729, 243, 81, and so on.
and 36.
Incorrect, Captain.
27 and 9.
Lone Oak gets it. It's 27 and 9. 24 is a toss-up. In which symbiotic relationship does one organism benefit at the expense of another?
Parasitism.
Parasitism, yes. Bonus 25, Lone Oak. In one of his famous poems, Robert Frost writes that whenever he sees what type of deciduous hardwood tree, he likes to think of some boys been swinging on them.
Oak.
Incorrect. Captain for Graves.
Birch.
It is a birch, yes. Graves gets it at the last instant. 26 is a toss-up. Identify the scientific law which predicts that the solubility of a gas or volatile substance in a liquid is proportional to the partial pressure of the substance over the liquid.
Henry's Law.
That is Henry's Law, Lone Oak. Bonus 27 to your team. Name the term that describes 2 points lying within the same plane.
Coplanar.
It is coplanar. You get the toss-up and the bonus. 28, toss-up for both teams. The author of this work ironically suggests that the terrible problems of poverty and starvation in Ireland could be solved by
A Modest Proposal.
That is the one we were looking for, by Jonathan Swift. Bonus 29. In July of 2004, it was revealed that a fourth patient died after receiving an organ transplant from a doctor infected with what viral disease that was once called hydrophobia because of the victim's inability to swallow water?
No answer.
Captain.
No answer.
Rabies was once called hydrophobia. Toss-up 30. In medieval times, this word was used to denote the Nazaris, a subgroup of the Ismaili branch of Islam. The word today has come to mean any politically motivated murderer. What is this term?
Assassin.
It is indeed an assassin. Bonus 31. What is the slope of a line parallel to the line passing through the points -3, 6, and -5, 9?
And isn't it Kelsey?
-3/2.
Absolutely, -3/2. Going to toss-up 32, Lone Oak 16, Graves County 8. 32 is a toss-up. According to legend, King John outlawed him when he sang.
Robin Hood.
Incorrect, I'll repeat. According to legend, King John outlawed him when he sang a ballad about the good King Richard. Who is this young musician and friend of Robin Hood, whose voice was famous all throughout Sherwood?
Friar Tuck.
Alan Adale is who we were looking for. 33 toss-up. France's claim to Canada was based on the explorations of what French navigator who discovered the St. Lawrence River?
LaSalle.
Incorrect. Lono, can you take it?
Champlain.
It is Jacques Cartier. 34, toss-up. It is defined as 1 Newton acting over an area of 1 square meter. What is this derived?
Pascal.
It is a Pascal, derived unit of pressure. Bonus Lone Oak 35. Its name was taken from a character in the comic strip Popeye. Name this 4-wheeled vehicle developed by the military in World War II for use on poor roads or open terrain.
Jeep.
Jeep is the one we were looking for. Toss-up 36. After it opened in 1904, it staged the works of Lady Gregory, Sean O'Casey, and William Butler Yeats. Name this playhouse in Dublin that played a large part in the Irish literary revival of the 1900s. No answer on the Abbey Theatre. 37 is a toss-up. Car headlight beams can be seen in fog, but the beams are invisible in clear air. This is an example of what effect in which light passing through a colloid is scattered by suspended particles.
Dispersion.
Incorrect.
Refraction.
It's the Tyndall effect. 38, toss-up. What is the arc cosine of -1/2?
Pi over 2.
Incorrect.
2 pi-thirds.
Yes, 2/3. We needed that second quadrant angle. Here's your bonus, 39. In 1889, a large strip of land was opened up for settlement in Oklahoma. Prospective settlers lined up on the territorial border and at high noon were allowed to compete in claiming the best lands. What nickname was given to those settlers who cheated and entered the territory before the appointed time?
Sooners.
Correct. 40 is a toss-up. What musical direction would a composer use to indicate that he wanted a passage of music to be played with increasing volume?
Crescendo.
Correct. No bonus after 40. That's the end of the first half. We'll check the scores and come back after this brief break. Welcome back to the second half of our first semifinal in the 2011 West Kentucky Academic Bowl, featuring Graves County High School and Lone Oak High School. We've checked the scores, and Lone Oak has a 22-8 lead over Graves County. But there's plenty of time and 40 questions, so anything can happen. We're going to begin with toss-up 1, as there have been no substitutes. Let's begin. 1 toss-up. It opens with a description of Egdon Heath and depicts the human struggle against fate. Give the title of this 1878 novel by Thomas Hardy with the characters Damon Wildeeve and Clem Yeobright.
Tess de Ubervilles.
Incorrect. Graves County. It's The Return of the Native. 2 is a toss-up. This Russian composer died in 1953 as rehearsals began for his ballet, The Tale of the Stone Flower. Identify this composer of the orchestral piece, Peter and the Wolf.
Tchaikovsky.
Incorrect. Lone Oak, can you take it?
Stravinsky.
It is Sergei Prokofiev. Toss-up 3. Justus Liebig was a German chemist of the 19th century who is chiefly remembered for his early contributions to which field of chemistry?
Organic chemistry.
Correct. You're on the board, Graves. Here's your second half bonus, number 4. What is the volume of a right prism with a height of 10 inches and a base area of 5 square inches?
250/3.
Incorrect,
It's
Captain.
inches.
50 cubic inches.
It's 50 cubic inches. It was a prism. Toss up 5. Bartholomew Gosnold was the first Englishman to explore the east coast of the United States from Maine to Massachusetts. During his explorations, he named Cape Cod after the fish he found there. Gosnold also traveled to a Massachusetts island south of Cape Cod and gave it what name after his daughter? Martha's Vineyard. Toss up 6. In 1909, he became chief choreographer for Diaghilev's Ballet Russe. Name this Russian dancer who choreographed Stravinsky's Petrushka and the Firebird.
Aaron Copland.
Incorrect. Lone Oak. Mikhail Fokine. 7 is a toss-up. A psychrometer is one type of what general instrument used to measure the humidity of the air?
Barometer.
Incorrect.
Thermometer.
A hygrometer. 8 toss-up. The Privacy Act of 1974 supplemented what 1966 act, requiring that the records of all U.S. government agencies be made available to the public?
Freedom of information.
Hesitation.
The Freedom of Information Act.
That is what we were looking for, Graves County. Here's your bonus 9. Name the American general in the Revolutionary War who was given a command in the British Army after his plot to deliver West Point to the British was discovered and foiled.
Benedict Arnold.
Yes, that is who we were looking for. 10's a toss-up. If f of x equals x squared plus 3 and g of x equals 2x minus 1, what is g of f of x? No answer on 2x squared plus 5. 10 questions into the second half. Lone Oak 23, Graves County 11. Here's toss-up 11. Solve. Log base square root of 3 of x equals 6.
27.
Correct, Lone Oak. Here's your bonus 12. Starfish normally have 5 rays that radiate from a central disk. In a groove on the lower side of each movable ray are 2 rows of what locomotive structures that are part of the water vascular system?
Tube feet.
Yes, 2 feet is correct. 13's a toss-up. His early work greatly reflected the influences of Manet, Courbet, and Delacroix. Who is this French impressionist who painted such works as The Bathers and Luncheon of the Boating Party?
Monet.
Incorrect. Lone Oak. It was Renoir. 14 toss-up. The following headlines might have been printed on newspapers in which historic year? Newton discovers universal gravitation. Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan dies, and great fire rages through London.
1666.
Yes, you have it, Graves. Here's your bonus, 15. A master of the techno-military thriller genre, what contemporary author's works include Rainbow Six and Clear and Present Danger?
Judicial case.
Incorrect. Captain.
Clancy.
It is Tom Clancy. Lone Oak gets the bonus. 16, toss-up, everybody. What classic revivalist architect is best known for the main facade of the British Museum and the General Post Office, both in London? Sir Robert Smirke. 17, toss-up. What type of poetic foot consists of an unaccented syllable followed by an accented syllable?
Iambic pentameter.
Incorrect.
Iambic.
Just iambic. You gave too much. They only wanted the foot. Graves, here's your bonus. In conversion of the rectangular coordinate 1, 4 to polar coordinates, what is the value of r?
Two.
Incorrect, Captain.
Square root of 17.
It is the square root of 17. Lona gets the bonus. Toss up 19. Most monarans reproduce asexually through what process?
Binary fission.
Good anticipation, Lone Oak. You get it. And here's 20's bonus. As a result of the Chesapeake Leopard incident, President Jefferson closed U.S. territorial waters to British warships and requested an end to what British practice of searching U.S. ships for military deserters?
Impressment.
That is impressment. You are correct. 20 questions into the second half. Lone Oak 29, Graves County 13. Here's toss-up 21. After learning French, Spanish, and English, he became opposed to American intrusions into his tribal lands. Determined to preserve the Cherokee culture, what Native American warrior developed a Cherokee written language by adapting the letters of the English alphabet to represent sounds in the Cherokee tongue? It was Sequoia. Time out, Graves County. We'll be back after this short break. And we're back. Graves County has a new player. We're going to have him buzz in and introduce himself.
Jonathan Goatley, sophomore.
Great. Thank you for buzzing in. We have a score of Lone Oak 29, Graves County 13. Here's toss-up 22. Suppose that u equals the vector 4, negative 3, and v equals the vector negative 2, 3. Find the vector 2u plus 4v.
0, 6.
Correct, Lone Oak. Bonus 23. This American artist popularized the American West in his dramatic paintings and sculptures of life on the plains. Name this man who sculpted the bronze Bronco Buster.
No answer.
Captain.
No answer.
Remington. Toss up 24. Give the surname of the American abolitionist sisters and crusaders for women's rights whose lectures for the American Anti-Slavery Society in the 19th century drew crowds numbering in the thousands. The Grimkeys. Toss up 25. Ferric is a term applied to iron in which of its oxidation states?
+3.
Correct. Bonus Lone Oak 26. To be sure of always getting the same good crop, farmers have performed control breeding on many generations of plants by this process. Identify this process carried out in animals by mating close relatives like brother and sister to produce offspring with similar traits.
Selective breeding.
Incorrect, Captain.
No answer now.
Inbreeding. Toss up 27. This author wrote his most famous work while in prison. Identify this English author of the 15th century whose masterpiece, Le Morte d'Arthur, retells many French stories about King Arthur and his knights. Sir Thomas Malory. Toss up 28. What is the dimension of each minor of a 3x3 determinant?
2 by 2.
Correct. Lone Oak, bonus 29. The Dick Act of 1903 established what branch of the armed forces that consists of volunteer army and air militia units?
National Guard.
That is correct, Lone Oak. Bonus is correct. Toss up 30. Roman Catholics believe that the bread and wine of communion actually become the body and blood of Jesus Christ.
Transubstantiation.
That is correct, Graves. Here's your bonus, 31. Evaluate the limit of the quantity x minus 1 raised to the 7th power divided by the quantity 2x minus 5 raised to the fourth power as x approaches 3.
$625.
Incorrect, Captain.
128.
It is 128, Lone Oak. Going into the 30-second question, Lone Oak 34, Graves County 14. Toss-up 32. After expeditions into the Amazon and the Malay Archipelago, this English naturalist developed a theory of evolution,
Charles Darwin.
incorrect, by natural selection independently of Charles Darwin. Who was this natural philosopher who speculated that Thomas Malthus's economic theory of survival of the fittest might be applicable to biological evolution? It was Alfred Wallace. Toss-up 33. This Baroque composer had more than 20 children, many of whom became great musicians in their own right. Name this
Clear.
composer of the Brandenburg Concertos and the Little Organ. White 2? White 3?
Bach.
Correct. Bonus 34. Give the stage name of the Dutch dancer Margaretha Zella, an exotic dancer who was executed by the French for spying for the Germans during World War I.
No answer.
Captain.
Unrestricted submarine warfare.
Mata Hari. Toss-up 35. The cynical and uncaring aristocrat Grigory Pechorin appears in what most famous novel by Russian author Mikhail Lermontov? Time. A hero of our time. Toss-up 36. What 20th century American wrote the lyrics and music for such musicals as The Unsinkable Molly Brown, Here's Love, and The Music Man? Meredith Wilson. Toss-up 37. Classify this sentence according to structure. Whenever I feel afraid, I whistle a happy tune.
Complex.
Correct, Graves. Bonus 38. One of their major characteristics is a tendency to form compounds, especially with hydrogen. Give the name for the elements of group 6 of the periodic table, including sulfur, oxygen, selenium, and polonium.
Sulfides.
Incorrect, Captain.
No answer.
Chalcogens. Toss-up 39. Evaluate the integral from 0 to pi divided by 4. Integral from 0 divided by pi over 4.
0 to pi divided by 4.
Yes, integral from 0 to pi over 4 of sine cubed of 2t cosine of 2t dt. Time 1/8. And toss-up 40. They advocated civil service reform and distrusted Republican presidential nominee James G. Plain. That's why in 1884, what group of independent Republicans threw their official support behind the Democratic candidate Grover Cleveland?
Progressives.
Incorrect. Lone Oak.
Stalwarts.
Mugwumps. That's the end of the match. We'll check the scores and be back right after this short break. Welcome back. Our first semifinal of the 2011 West Kentucky Academic Bowl is complete. Lone Oak is the victor, 35-15 over Graves County. Lone Oak, congratulations on advancing to the finals. We'll see you in a couple of matches. Graves County, congratulations on winning your district. You have earned scholarship money from the West Kentucky Academic Bowl Academic Fund. This is Gary Goodacre, moderator of the 2011 West Kentucky Academic Bowl. On behalf of my judge, Joe Mahoney, thank you and have a good day.